Yeah,
this is a long road.
Wow.
This is a creepy cemetery entrance. There's a wild squirrel right in front of us.
That's a bird.
That's a bird?
Yeah.
This is better than the other cemetery.
Ooh.
Finally.
Wow.
We're here. We made it. So far, I'm super impressed with our find, guys.
So cool.
So one of the interesting things, the town was founded by the sign out front town that said 1900. The big years of the Oregon Trail when they came out from Missouri was between 1830 and 1869. Those were the big years of the Oregon Trail. And Oregon did not actually become an actual state until, I want to say, around 1865. So some of the people that are buried here are from the Oregon Trail era, meaning they came through, who knows how long they even lived here. You know, every time I think historically, when I think about the Oregon Trail and the mining history, I always feel bad for the wives, because you know those wives were drug out of their homes, they were drug out of the East Coast, where who knows what kind of lifestyle they had, but they were lured out here with the idea that they were going to hit it big, they were going to hit it rich, Oregon, the new territory, this is going to be the most awesome spot ever. And they get out here and it's freaking raining all the time. The husbands aren't finding gold. Their sons and daughters are dying from diseases. If there is anyone here, we don't mean to disturb or cause any harm. We're just hoping to communicate and hoping that maybe you'll speak with us. But you have to let us know you're here. We have a device on the ground here that you can speak into and it will let us know you're here. Is there anyone here that would be willing to talk with us? If there is someone here, are you frightened? And Kristen and Annie, if you have a gut feeling about anything that might present itself, if you're here and we scare you or anger you, do you want us to leave? There's 2 owls.
Can you tell us how you died?
Can you give us a name at all?
We're excited to be here and hang out with you. Hope it's okay. Can you tell us what kind of work you did in your life?
Can you give us a year that you died?
Is that your stomach?
No, but did you feel something?
Why?
Because you just kind of slowly glanced over at Annie and looked at her.
Yeah. I can't believe you saw me do that. It's one of those like,
I know. Working with a couple sensitive at times could be a little,
we're very sensitive.
yeah. But it's interesting because I see how you would play off of each other's,
I'm just seeing if she was reacting to something because she hears them. So I'm like,
well, we're happy to be here and communicate with you. At some point, we do end up having to leave. So it's very important that if you wish to communicate with us, you do your best to do it now. Feel my stomach in another.
too bad it's fake love too. It's not even cool.
All right, so Annie, we're out here in the cemetery. We all decided to start asking some questions and do an EVP. And those familiar with your vlog have hopefully seen the video where you and Kristen have experienced some things that were kind of in tandem with each other, and it was very interesting. While we were sitting here, I noticed you and Kristen kind of looked back and forth at each other while we were asking questions. Obviously, as people who have been on casual investigations with you in the past, we know when you're looking at each other that you're usually getting some sort of response to some of the questions we're asking. Let's start by asking, what was your impression coming into the cemetery initially versus once we started asking questions? Did you feel any sort of environmental changes that made you feel like there may have been something that wished to communicate?
Not when we first got here, no. I felt comfortable when we first got here. I wasn't getting anything.
After we started with the questions on the EVP, did you have a different opinion or did you get a different feeling?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's when it's kind of started to manifest once questions were being asked. Or whatever the question was, like, or if someone's here, want to communicate. What was that? Sound like a knocking on the...
Yeah, I heard that.
Is the camera still on? I don't see a red light on the front of it, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's going.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, that was weird. But I immediately got someone.
Okay.
Immediately. And it was a female.
You got a female.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
interesting.
she looked to be like, I don't know, like 40s, older.
Okay.
And yeah, there's more if you want to know.
Hell yeah, that's why we're here. What is that?
I don't know. I hear it too.
You're hearing
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Is it you?
No, I'm not doing anything. It sounds like it's coming from
It sounds like
on
coming
your
from
side.
on this side,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I don't know.
It was clicking though.
It sounds like someone like tossing a rock on
Yeah.
there. I don't know.
So a woman, did you get the feeling, well, and you said, and more if you want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to know more. That's why we're here asking questions.
Yeah.
Was there a sense of oppression, sadness, fear? Did you feel any distinguishing characteristic?
It was more like anxious. Like, yes, there's someone here. Yes, I'm here. Kind of more like just like it's been so long since I've spoken to somebody, kind of a feel. Like it's been a long time. Like I
So
don't
it might
feel,
even be a little bit of excitement.
yeah,
Hey,
it
someone's
might be
actually
excitement. It's like anxious, kind of, really excited. And I get the feeling that not a lot of people come up here to visit anybody.
So why don't you describe as best in detail as you can about what it is you felt, if there were any specific responses you feel you got from our questions, anything that sticks out in your mind right now. Mm-hmm. Just kind of walk yourself through the experience and just kind of detail what you can.
Well, when we were sitting, the row of headstones that are right there along the bush, that big bush, I was drawn towards that area for some strange reason. Then as it gradually, that tree that's way over there, that big one, there's a woman standing there for a very, very long time. And she was just all black. That's all I could see. And so I kept looking over there, and as it started to gradually get darker, she's still standing there. And then I start to see a man, and he's more on this other side. And they're just standing. And I don't know if that's, I'm pretty sure it's the same woman that is like, I'm here, because for a while she was next to me as we're sitting here. And I was like trying to get a name, and I got it starts with an M.
Okay.
And it has an A after it, so it was M-A, and I was trying to go through my head. I kind of didn't let her finish telling me what her name was, because I'm like, oh, M-A, Martha.
Is there any specific details you got from our EVP that you think would be important information to know?
I think someone asked something if you were born in the 1800s, and I got yes.
Okay.
And then I got that she died in the 1800s, too.
Okay.
And I was trying to get a year, and it was 18 something. I was getting numbers in my head, and I was either getting 1862 or 1882. It was like I couldn't really see that.
Okay, now let me ask you a quick question. When we were done, we got up, we stopped recording the audio, and I think the video was done recording, but you promptly walked over to the row that you had mentioned you were drawn to. Why did you immediately go over there and start looking through the name, or through the headstones? Were you looking for a name?
I was looking for a name.
And did you find anything over there with an M.A.?
I did.
What? What was the name?
Mary.
Mary, okay. That's interesting. And of course, there will be those that say, well, yeah, you went and looked at the headstones and then came back and said M.A., so there's always some skepticism and some questioning of what's going on. But I want you to hear this before I finish interviewing you. As we were leaving, Kristen said to me, oh my God, she's going over to the headstones. That was the first place I was drawn to when I came in here, which happens to be the same row of headstones. I don't think she told you anything about that.
No.
I don't know. But she said to me, oh my gosh, that is the first place I was drawn to coming in here, was that area right where she's.
Oh.
So, okay, at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Kristen to come on over here. I'm going to ask her a few questions, and then I'll let her know if anything corroborated. Now, actually, you can stay here. Because you don't have to worry about hearing the things that she says. Yeah. So go ahead and pause the video. I'll get her, and we'll see what we got coming.
We move forward for carbon.
Is it coming from way down there or over here?
Hard to tell.
Are you recording this?
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, it doesn't sound anything like a big cat or anything. Maybe it's a Bigfoot.
I don't know, that's weird.
Okay.
So Kristen, you actually took some notes. We separated you and Annie while I interviewed her. First of all, I want to know, did you notice a difference? You also had mentioned in the EVP that you felt very peaceful, nothing really going on. But once we started asking questions, did you feel that shift? Did it change? And if it did, what did it change to? Can you describe a feeling that it may have changed to?
Yeah, the feeling didn't change. It's still very peaceful. But I think just because there was a lot of quiet time and I could focus, I just started to pick up on one person. And I actually got some. The reason I looked at Annie at one point is because I got something popped in my head that normally doesn't pop in my head. So it's kind of weird. I took notes because I'm a nerd.
Yeah, that's good. No, that's good. The sooner you write them down, the less you are to forget them.
So when I looked at Annie, the date 1847 popped in my head.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's a death or a birth. I don't know. It was just 1847. So.
Oh, that's interesting. So you had a very specific year, though. That's good. Mm-hmm. Did you get the sense of whether it was a man or a woman?
It was a woman. I never get names either, but I got K.A. and I was thinking Catherine, but I was like, oh, that's such a generic name for that time period. I don't know.
Okay.
So I'll just stick with K.A.
Okay.
She seemed really happy. She knows she's dead. The way I describe it is I could see her like walking the perimeter and just like looking at headstones, and she had a smile on her face. It's kind of like she takes her afternoon stroll.
Okay.
She was aware that we were here, but she doesn't seem like the type of person that would, even when she was alive, like come up and introduce herself. I kept seeing her between those two trees down there.
Okay.
And she was to the one to my right. She was hiding behind, and she'd kind of like look out to keep it. Okay, they're still there. Actually, it sounds so weird. I asked her to follow me down to the car.
Yeah.
And that's where I kind of got some more clear answers. I kind of see what she looks like.
Okay.
She had sandy brown hair with like pulled up in a bun almost on the top of her head.
Do you have an idea of maybe how old she was?
Mid-40s.
Okay.
Is what she seemed like.
Let me try and think how I want to word this. Do you think... So you mentioned there wasn't a sadness or a depression. Why do you think she chooses to stay here then? Is she...
I think Annie made a point, like, usually with cemeteries, I rarely pick up things in cemeteries, probably because I just think it's kind of cliche.
It's cliche. Well, you also have the possibility to get so many conflicting
Yeah.
responses if there's more than one entity available.
I think the people here, the feeling that I get is that everyone is happy that they're here. I think everyone knows that they're dead. I think, I don't want it to sound like a big like community retirement party.
No.
But it's kind of like everyone's fine with it, and this is their paradise. They
is she? Do you think if she's here, do you think her family maybe?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think there's a lot of families here.
Yeah.
We wandered around before, so.
Yeah, we did get indication of family.
So lots of
plots.
the same last names.
I do want to ask you one question when we came in here. Now, as I was heading off to go ahead and get the flashlight so we could do this video and be seen for once in the dark, you kind of mentioned to me something, and that was that as we came in here, you were drawn to this set.
Yeah. And I had told Annie I was drawn to that area, but what I didn't tell Annie was the first headstone that she went to, that's when I was like, oh my God. So I ran over to you.
Yeah.
She went straight, because I walked, you guys are still back there, and I walked in. That's where I went, and that was the headstone that I went to. I don't know why I got drawn over there, but it was...
All right, Annie, what I'd like you to do is come join us now. You've heard a little bit of information that Kristen's had. You guys watching the video have heard a little bit of information. First of all, this is a kind of an interesting little scenario. Again, we're not testing you guys, but what I'm looking for, because one of the things we talked about is when you're in a cemetery, you have the possibilities for so many conflicting pieces of information depending upon the type of activity, if there is activity here. Now, the one thing, now that you're here, I would like you to know after speaking with Annie, is that she saw a woman in her mid-40s.
Shut the... What?
She saw a woman in her mid-40s.
So
she got the letters M.A.
Okay.
And she also got a death somewhere between 42, 48. She couldn't distinguish the numbers.
All right, I'm done being a sensitive. It's way too creepy.
So that's actually a very interesting piece of information. You were drawn to the side. Annie, that is where you're drawn to the side. I also mentioned to Annie, it's hard to prove that point too, because she did know that you were drawn initially there. But that whole row of headstones is a family section. But what I'm interested to know now is what's the name on that first headstone, if that was, because there is a Mary over there. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to go walk over there and check it out myself, and we'll bring the camera along so they can see the headstones. One thing that is important to me, and it's always a little bit of a challenge, is making sure that the families of members who have relatives here, I want to be respectful to them. I don't necessarily want to show last names and things like that on the video, or possibly even let people know where we are, because the last thing I want is for people to, come swarm the place. There's already signs of vandalism, whether it be natural or human. Headstones are cracked, headstones are in half on the ground, tipped over, pieces falling off. At least the ornamental pieces that are cracked off are still here. Nobody had taken those, so that's good. Just so
I can't see it.
I know, hold on a second. I'm going to grab the camera. I don't know how this camera works, so hopefully I don't break it. It's still recording. Let me switch it up here. Now.
Yeah, that's what I got. I wrote down here.
So we're now going to walk on over to the headstones that both of the girls were. Kristen, why don't you go to the headstone you mentioned you felt attracted to first?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't looking at names.
No, but that's what I'm wanting to find out right now, is what it is.
I was drawn to this headstone.
So this is the headstone you were initially drawn to?
I don't really know why I was drawn
and this
to
is the row In fact, let me brighten up my light. But this is the row of headstones Annie had mentioned. Let's see if we can spot a name on this one. So would you say it's this first one that you were drawn to?
Yeah,
this is 1846 is the year.
And then I walked around and looked at the other
Oops, sorry, I don't want to block you.
Okay. So they're from Missouri.
The beginning of the Oregon Trail. (1867), is that what that says?
Yeah.
Where is Mary located? Right here. Just so happens, Mary died in 1878.
Oh.
So, 42 years old. So anyway, very interesting information. Thanks, guys. Annie, Kristen, thank you both for taking the time to do that. I appreciate it.
Not a problem.